difference between this one and the Kiss Me album. The Kiss Me album was supposed to be almost like a retrospective, in a way, even though there was a lot of new stuff on it. The fact that it was a double album allowed us a lot of time to like, look back on different aspects of what The Cure had done, whereas the new one is it's very particular, has a very particular sound, has a very definite mood to it. The Kiss Me album is a bit more sort of kaleidoscopic, really, and this one's very much a sort of a downbeat album, you know. It's very old-style Cure, really, the mood.
Faith?
Yeah, it's around the sort of the Faith sort of sound, I suppose, if there is such a thing. But it's very sort of big and atmospheric. There's a lot of string parts and low bass parts.
There was more of a mixture on Kiss Me. That was sort of loads of different styles of songs. On this one, it's more a theme running through it, if you like.
So back to the sort of the Faith, or I mean, maybe not like.
No, it's not a George Michael album.
In a way, yeah.
I mean, were you conscious of trying to make it different to other albums? Every Cure album has been different. I mean, is that like something?
It's not a conscious thing, is it?
No, because if you start being conscious about it, then it becomes much too contrived, and you end up like.
It's just the way that everybody's songs turned out. When we listened to them all, they all had that same kind of feel, so that's the way the album went.
Who's writing on this one?
Everybody.
It's a sort of. How was it done? It was just all together and just sort of jammed it together, or were they sort of individual contributions?
Everybody brought tapes along and just all listened to them and choose them.
And the most depressing ones made it on the album.
Yeah.
The way it worked on the last record and this one is that everyone's expected to turn up at this sort of pre-album meeting, which you usually have for about a week, which is basically us drinking for 5 days, and then we pluck up courage to play our tapes to each other. And so, well, I mean, I don't get embarrassed, but I think the others do, because it's a new thing for them. And it's really weird laying yourself open like that, you know, and everyone sort of go, oh no, you know, but there's like an unwritten code that you don't laugh, you know, even if you want to. That was broken a couple of times in this record, I must admit. Everyone plays their demos and we just we give them points. You know, it's a very, in that sense, it's a very democratic process, and we just add up the points at the end, and the songs with the highest points go on to the next stage, which is like us playing them, demoing them, seeing what they feel like. If there's anything in particular that I think has been left out and should be used, it's the only time I like to use my sort of power of veto and include it. But it's again, if it's going to be a group, you know, everyone's got to be pretty happy with what we're going to play. It'd be pointless, otherwise it's just like session players. Go in anywhere and say we're going to do this. It always just ends up doing something. But usually there's like a key song or something that motivates me to say to the others, right, it's about time we thought about doing something. And then it works from that point, and we gradually build up. With this record, I had an idea of what I wanted, and I presented that to the others, and it then gets like mutated and comes out the other end after a pretty protracted process into what ends up on the shelves as a record. But it can. There are stages when it can go any one of a million different ways, and very difficult to pinpoint. You can sort of see them in retrospect, times in the studio when we decide on a certain drum sound or something. But at the time of making a record, we never are really that in control. I don't think that aware of what's going on. I don't know. I try and fool everyone into believing that I do know what's going on, but a lot of the time it's left to sort of chance. I think it's better. It turns out that we'd end up, whatever we do is going to take longer and longer. And it's not, as I used to think, I still complain and I'm horrified by groups that take months and months and months to make a record. I think it's a real waste. It's a waste of time. And when we actually are doing something, it's quite spontaneous and quite fast, but it is, like you say, it's the production process afterwards, which is, I'm always trying to get it to sound better than the one before. And also, as everything sort of escalates, what people expect that has become a lot higher. Their level of sort of, people's level of awareness, I think, with what is on a record has gone up since we started. I mean, like 17 Seconds took sort of 14 days from walking in the studio and walking out with the finished thing. And this one took in real time probably 2 months, and in unreal time took about 5. But I mean, of those, that's what I mean. If those 5 months could be condensed down into 2, if we wanted to spend every day doing something, and those 2 months could be condensed down to a week probably, of actually doing something other than messing about and talking to each other.
What about mother's pride?
You got to have a mother's pride.
But why?
Got to have a mother's pride, otherwise you don't stick the roof of your mouth.
The reason why we work in a residential studio is the 2 reasons. One's a very practical reason, which is that it's easier for the way we work to have everyone around, because we might suddenly decide, I might be doing a vocal and think, I can't do this tonight, and if everyone else is around, we can do something else. If they're not, if everyone's gone home, it's a waste of a day, waste of a night. And obviously the other reason, the more important reason, is it builds up an atmosphere when we're working, and everyone can remain involved. Everyone can be there all the time if they want. I mean, you can sleep in the control room if you want. In fact, the others quite often sleep in the control room.
It's just nice that way, because that means that all we see is each other, and we can just get like totally involved in it, as opposed to sort of maybe like having a few days off and then sort of getting out of the mood of doing it. It's you sort of conscious of being involved in it all the time, even if you do have a day off there. If we're around.
You don't think you're doing anything either. You're just sort of there and you play.
Yeah, and there isn't a specific point where you say, well, you have to go and play such and such. No, you just do it.